What's going on YouTube? This is SB3 Gaming and I am back with a new series. This is just going to be basically my talking about my passion. I love Supercross and Motocross. I've been a fan of it really probably since the right at the end of RC's era. I really started watching it probably about 2004, 2005. I'm 27 years old now, so I mean I was a little whippersnapper at that point. And I think I really started getting invested into the sport probably about 2009, 2010. So right as Ryan Dungey was coming into the 450 class, when Tomac and Barsha were hitting the 250s. And ever since then, it's just been an ongoing thing for me, and it's just a sport that I've really enjoyed. And I wanted to kind of mix it up with my channel. If you look at any of my other videos, it's primarily just doing like story-based games. This video that's going to be taking over my Thursday recordings for at least the time being. It was a throwback Thursday, and I mean my channel's still relatively new, so a lot of it was just I picked a set of games and I was going to play through the stories on them and then swap out for the sequels. Now I'm getting to the point where I want to kind of branch out a little bit. I've started, like, obviously I've been following Supercross games since way before when, so you'll have to bear with me as I'm learning how to do this. I've never done kind of a talking point while I'm doing a live recording as well, so I know a lot of people will play footage, like gameplay footage like this, and then they will talk about whatever it is that they need to talk about. I'm going to try doing it live. I don't know how well it's going to work. It's probably not. So, worst case scenario, it's just going to be me doing a couple laps. I'll review the track a little bit, but a lot of it's going to be talking about contracts. Going into 2021, I haven't really seen anything. 'Cause usually, right around the end of Supercross to end of Motocross, you start getting an idea of who's going where for next year. It's not anything by set in stone, but usually you'll start to see people that are, you start seeing by the end of by the end of Motocross, you'll usually start hearing whispers about who's going where. If they're in a contract year, usually, or at least from what I've seen, they'll be like whenever Cooper Webb was going from Monster Energy Yamaha to Red Bull KTM, they didn't say what team he was going to, but they're like, well, we're pretty sure he's going to a new team next season. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Since I hadn't really seen anything, I've done a decent bit of searching, and I really want to get the kind of the landscape of where everybody's going. I mean, obviously, Cowie's set up for next year. They signed an extension with Adam Cianciarulo, and I believe Eli was already in contract for next year, but they've said that he was confirmed. So I know he had a multiple year option, and I mean, to my understanding, he was guaranteed through 2021, but I'm not 100% sure. But he's now guaranteed through 2021 alongside Adam Cianciarulo. Ken Roxon, I believe, goes through 2022. 20. So he's good for another 2 seasons. I think. I mean, while we're talking about contracts, I'm going to go ahead and say Eli will probably do one more extension, depending on how he does outdoors. If there's an outdoor series, I think he'll sign in probably another 2-year extension, putting him through 2023. I think if he does the four-peat outdoors, I think he's definitely going to do a contract extension for two more years probably with Cowie. And at that point, I think at the end of that 2-year extension, he's going to be done. I mean, unless he's still winning championships in that last season, I can't see him really going past, because he's 27. I think he's my age right now. I think he's 27 or 28. And he just had a kid. So, I mean, looking back at Supercross, those statistics, I think Weege said it, he's the first father to win a Supercross title, which is crazy. I mean, the baby was, I think, a month old, 2 months old. So, by the skin of his teeth, he was a father. But that's really cool. I'm really happy. As an Eli Tomac fan, I'm really happy to see that he has been able to lock down the championship. And I mean, I thought it every single year that he was going in. Since he's been on Cowie, I was like, okay, well, this is the year. This is the year that he's going to do it. And it just, stuff happened. Mistakes were made. I think 2017 was probably the one time he should have won it and didn't. I think that was mental lapses there for him, but came back the next year in 2018. I was like, okay, he's gonna do it. Crashes in A1. Like, okay, well, missed the second. I can't remember the second and third round, but he just didn't perform, and I was really starting to wonder if it was going to happen. But I put my chips with him every year, and it finally paid off. Um, I'm interested to see what his teammate does next year, whether we have outdoors or not. I'm really interested to see what he's going to do um, with a little bit of time under his belt. I mean, he came back whenever the racing came back, and he didn't hold it. I mean, I really thought he was going to come out stronger, seeing it as like a second start to the season almost, and he just didn't do it. I mean, it shocked me a little bit because I expected him to be a little more. I mean, he led, so I guess I can't really say he didn't hold my expectations because I expected him to be up front, but he was doing what AC does, at least in Supercross. AC has made those mistakes usually whenever he's up front. He's done it since his rookie days, and I mean that's not a fault of his own. It reminds me a lot of James Stewart, a lot of like James Stewart, just because he's learning the bike, so I'm giving him the kind of the benefit of the doubt here because he is a rookie, so I mean he's learning how to ride this bike, and I love the kid's. I love his attitude. I love his energy that he's bringing to the sport, and I think it's awesome. I think him and I think from a fan's perspective, I would love to see him and K Rock get together on a team on HRC Honda for 2022 or whatever it is for K Rock before he retires, because I think K Rock's going to be with Honda for through 2022. He may do like a year extension, and then I think he's going to either go do the GPs or he's going to retire. Um, we're about to lose a lot of heavy hitters in the sport. They're all, I mean, like Blake Baggett. Anderson's 26, I think. So I think it's I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen because there's a lot of people that are around the same age, and like I think Webb he's gonna be in the game for a little bit because he's only 22 or 23. I'm pulling that number out of my butt. Please don't yell at me if I'm wrong. um, I'm trying to think. I lost my train of thought. But basically, all it's really going for is I want to see. I'm just jumping all over the place, so this is my first video. I'm just kind of hashing out everything that's going on in my mind in the absence of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. But I'm going to level it out right now. We're talking about contracts. So I already talked about Cowie. Monster Energy Kawasaki's lined up for next year. Red Bull KTM, I can't imagine. I mean, I think they signed a 1-year contract with Cooper Webb to see what's going through. I'm sorry, 2-year contract because they signed him for 2019 and 2020. So he's technically in a contract season, but I don't see him going anywhere. I think he's going to sign a multi-year contract, probably a 3 or 4-year contract at some point. I'm sure Roger's not super happy with the way that the title went with Eli winning the title, but stuff happens. And I think he's probably going to get, I would imagine he's probably going to get a 2 or 3 year contract extension. Probably a pretty hefty one considering he won the Supercross title, but I don't know that for sure. Marvin Musquin is guaranteed through the 2021 season, so he'll be good to go. He's not in any talks of going anywhere else. So I mean that's really all I can think of for Red Bull KTM. I think Marvin's going to retire after the 2021. He may go to 2022, but I can't see. Marvin's getting relatively old. I haven't seen him at all this season, so I mean I guess nobody really has. But he was supposed to come back for outdoors, I believe. So I'm curious to see how he does if we do have an outdoor season. If not, I'm curious to see him in Supercross next year. So depending on how he does there, I think it's going to be title or retire for Marvin at this point because he's getting relatively old. He's had several knee problems throughout his career, so I don't see him staying in the game that much longer. Maybe I'm speculating here completely. Maybe do a season in the GP since the schedule is a little bit more lax. but I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be cool to see him go do a set of GPs along with like K-Rock if they retire around the same time. Maybe go do a couple GPs in France or Germany or wherever they decide to do them at, just to kind of bring everything full circle since that's where they started. Um, HRC, I mean, moving right into that, HRC Honda, Ken Roczen is obviously set up on a contract through the 2022 season. So there he's good to go. He's with HRC. This is the longest he's stayed with a team too, which really kind of blows my mind because he went from I guess I shouldn't really say it. He stayed with KTM through his entire 250 career, um, in the U.S. at least. I think I didn't follow MXGP until a couple years ago, so I don't really know the history behind the sport, minus like the big hitters that are still over there. But um, he's good with HRC Honda. Um, I would like to find out specifically. This is like a little side note. I would like to see a way to find out that like their sponsor contracts, like Eli's on Alpine Stars, Ken's been with Fox, to see if they change, like to see their contract lengths to really kind of see if there's a possibility that they're going to change sponsors. Um, but that's completely irrelevant. But Ken Roczen through 2022, similar to Marvin Musquin. I don't really see him doing a whole lot after that contract's up. Maybe a 2-year contract extension, but I don't see him going past um, 2023, 24, something like in that number, in that range. I think he's getting pretty close to the end here for his career. At least in my mind, he's passionate about the sport, but it's got to be beating him down to be as close as he was with the health issues that he's continuing to have. And I mean, I'll say this about Ken Roczen. He's not my favorite rider, but he's earned a lot of my respect over these last couple of years with everything that's gone on, from his health issues to his, obviously his injuries, which I'm not going to dive too much into, but because it's everybody that's involved in the sport knows about his arm injuries. Everybody does. So I'm not going to even touch on it, but the kid's gone through a heck of a lot of stuff, and still to be competitive in both outdoors and Supercross, it's really a testament to his his will to win, but also his mind, his mindset, because he's not coming in here thinking, oh, poor me, I need to retire. He came back fighting, and it took him a couple years, but he didn't stop. I mean, I don't think he can win a title. I mean, that's just my personal belief, and that's not saying anything against him, but I think the field is too strong. And with Ken Roczen having those bad days with when he had his issues with shingles and Epstein-Barr and all that other stuff, and it's like all understandable stuff, but I don't think unless he can have a perfect season where he can run like he did at Daytona, or he can run like he did at various points in the 2020 season. He has to be able to do that every single week in order to be a title threat. Eli's firsthand experience is what happens whenever you have a bad night. 2017, he should have won that title. 2018, I mean, he was probably the shoo-in to win the title. And I mean, it's just like, circumstance sucks whenever it happens, and you've got to be able to put it together and minimize those mistakes. And when Ken Roczen having those issues with his health throughout the season, more notably whenever it's gotten hotter, whenever we were in Salt Lake, but you got to understand, like, he's got to be there every single round. And I mean, they say that every single time, and then it's sad because I would like to see Ken Roczen win a championship. I respect the hell out of the guy because of what he's gone through. Uh, uh, but I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. I mean, I respect the heck out of Ken Roczen. He's a two-time outdoor champion. He's done a lot for the sport. I mean, he's a great ambassador, especially with what he's gone through. And I mean, I keep going back to that, but that's usually the main talking point with Ken Roczen. He's overcome a heck of a lot of stuff, and I would love to see him at some point win the championship. I just don't think it's in the cards with the field that's out there right now. And I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. I would love to see this guy win a title. Um, Justin Brayton's probably the first real question mark, because he was doing this year he moved over from, I'm just going to say Moto Concepts. I'm going to give everybody their short names because I don't want to go through and name all the sponsors. But Justin Brayton he's the real first question mark of what he's going to do since Sexton's moving up. But he came into 2020 with a Supercross deal. He's, I think, 37, 35. I don't remember. Um, but he's around Chad Reed's age, and he is the oldest person to win a Supercross race, which that's a merit of his grind. I think it really helps him that he comes in off of the Australian Supercross series because it kits him. You know, when A1's coming in, everybody's all got the kind of jitters, and to Brayton, I'm sure there's still some of the jitters there because it's American Supercross opposed to Australian Supercross, which is notably smaller. Um, but it's he's already in mid-season form at the beginning of the season, and I mean from what I can remember, I mean I know being a Tomac fan, I had my eyes wherever Tomac was the entire second half of the season, so I didn't really pay attention to much to minus whoever was up front with Tomac or wherever Tomac was at in the field. Um, so Tomac, or I'm sorry, Brayton, he held strong through the entire season. And then he doesn't do outdoors, which I understand it at that point in his career. He's probably getting pretty close to retirement as well. I don't know what to expect of him, to expect from him, because he came from Moto Concepts Honda, and he got the quote promotion to go to HRC for Supercross. I don't know where he's going to go because I'm assuming Sexton's. I mean, he's moving up for 2020 outdoors. Again, this is all speculation saying that it's happening, but he's moving up for 2020 outdoors, so I can only imagine that he's going to be there for Supercross as well. I mean, like that's what I would consider common sense at that point. But um, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to expect with Brayton. I don't know where he can go. I guess he might be able to go back to Moto Concepts, but they've got three riders, and I mean, Vince Freezy would really be the only person I can see that they could cut because Malcolm Stewart did solid. He did really, really well. Um, and then Justin Hill, he did a lot better than he did on Suzuki. So I mean, I think it just kind of depends on what they're wanting to do. But yeah, that's Brayton. I'm not really sure where he's going to go. The only logical place I can see him going is um, maybe back to Moto Concepts. I know the Australian Supercross, Luke Clout, Mitchell Oldenburg, they were on 250 efforts, but they were with Penrite, which I believe was a 250 team, or I'm sorry, an Australian team. So maybe since he's connected with the Australian Supercross series, they give him a 450 ride on a Penrite Honda. I don't know. That's just kind of my guess. But I'm either saying he's either going to go back to Moto Concepts Honda, possibility I guess of Penrite Honda if they come back for Supercross next year, and if all else fails, he may go to like a fill-in ride, or he might walk off into the sunset. I mean, he's had a heck of a career as well. Um, so the only 250 rider I'm going to talk actively about in this session is going to be Chase Sexton, just because he's moving up for 2020 outdoors, so he's technically a 450 rider. Um, I'm excited. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Ryan Dungey. Just the way that he rode this year. I mean, he's a little bit more aggressive than what Dunge was, but his flow, his style. I mean, like he seems effortless. Um, so I mean, I can see him being up front towards the race. I can see him being a lot like an Adam Cianciarulo, but just not crashing out. I see a lot of top 10 finishes from him, and he is 2022 as well. So his contract's going to run through 2022. So HRC Honda is locked up for the next 2 years. I'm sorry, yeah. So 2021, 2022, the upcoming 2 years, they're gonna be locked up. Don't have a whole lot to say on Chase Sexton. I wish he would have stayed down in the 250s to compete outdoors, but to each their own, I guess. Doesn't really make a huge difference. On my side, I'm excited to see him on the big bikes. Side note, I didn't know this, but Chase Sexton chose his number because he's a Bulls fan. He's from Illinois, I think outside of the Chicago area, but he's from Illinois, and he was a big Michael Jordan fan. I didn't know that. So, I mean, it was just something I read on there. I was like, well, why doesn't he choose if you want to, because I was like, well, he could be the next number 5, Ryan Dungey, whatever it was, and it was something about I read an article where it was just stating how he was like he picked the number 23 because he's a Chicago Bulls fan, and I was like, oh, Michael Jordan, okay, cool, and I just thought it was cool, but yeah, that's really it for HRC Honda. I'm excited to see what Sexton does. I think Kenny's going to be a good kind of a mentor to him, help him get his feet on there. I think at some point Sexton will be up front running for a Supercross championship at some point. I don't think he'll do it in the first year. I don't think that's ever going to happen again, personally. But I think Dungey is going to be the last one that did it to win a Supercross championship his rookie season. But yeah, moving on to Monster Energy Yamaha, the 450 Yamaha effort. I believe they're both in contract seasons at the end of the season. I think they're going to re-sign Barsha. I know he didn't meet he has to get third or better in the overall standings of Supercross or outdoors, but he finished fifth. And I haven't looked at previous standings recently, so I don't know where he finished at, but I think that's his best finish in a couple of years. So I see them pushing through and giving him a year extension instead of what may have been if he would have gotten third or better. But yeah, I mean, I think Yamaha's at least going to have that 250 effort, or I'm sorry, the Justin Barcia is going to be back on that 450 effort, and then I think Plessinger's gone. I like the dude, but he just hasn't. These 450 Yamahas, they just don't. I don't know what it is, but they're like they make a good rider average. Like it just doesn't make sense to me that Ferrandis could come up on he was a relatively all things about Ferrandis aside, he can come up. I'm assuming he's going to take Plessinger's spot, or he's going to take one of the 450 Yamaha spots, but I can't imagine it's going to be any different for him. Now, comparing Plessinger to Ferrandis was a lot more dominant, and in my opinion, he was a lot quicker than what Plessinger was. But I can't see Ferrandis. I don't know his stature, but he seems like he's a little bit smaller of a guy compared to Plessinger at least. But I just can't see that. I don't understand it, how the 250 Yamahas can be so hard to beat. But you put the same riders that were dominant. Cooper Webb was dominant in the 250s on a Yamaha. You put him on a 450 Yamaha, and he couldn't perform. So I don't understand it. They've got to figure something out. I think they need to take the same approach as what they did with Barsha, which, to my understanding, during off season before the 2020 Supercross season, he was doing. He built the bike from scratch. And that's not the right term, but he basically customized the bike to the way he wanted it. And I don't know if that's something they just didn't do in the past or what it was, but he performed a lot better. I mean, he was up there. He held the red plate for more than 1 week, which I don't think he's done ever in the 450s at least. But yeah, I mean, I think Plessinger's gone. I can see him moving over to a Moto Concepts, Honda as one of those spaces. Again, Vince Friese is probably going to be the weakest link out of all those, out of the 3 riders on Moto Concepts. But I could see him going to Moto Concepts. I could see him going to maybe like a Rocky Mountain ATV, KTM. I could see him going to. I don't see him sticking with a Yamaha. I don't think it's going to happen because he has not had the results that he wants, and I don't think Yamaha is going to take another chance with him. If they do, it's going to be a 1-year contract extension, and I think they're going to be better off, or they think they're going to be better off putting Ferrandis in that 450 spot. Yeah, I mean that's really it for Plessinger. I hate to see it because he's a real likable dude, and I just don't know what to do. Rockstar Husqvarna. So Jason Anderson, he's committed through 2022. He's not going anywhere. And like Tomac, like Roxon, I think Anderson's got a couple more years in him. Um, but Bobby Hewitt, this blew my mind. I don't know what's going to happen now. I think because Jason Anderson has been with the same team since he was in the 250s. It went from Rockstar Suzuki, which he he that's whenever he really started to kind of get his name. Rockstar KTM, where he won his first his Supercross title, and then Rockstar Energy Husqvarna whenever he moved up to the big bikes. So I'm curious to see what happens now that Bobby Hewitt's left. I don't know where he's going, or they said it was mutual and they split ways. So I don't know if he's leaving the sport entirely or if he's just um, if he's signing to another team. I would imagine because I mean Jason Anderson is in a contract through 2022, and I think he's more loyal to Bobby Hewitt than he is to Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. But that's the only bike he's ever been on, so I don't know what to expect, and I can't imagine there's a way for him to get out of his contract. I don't think there's a way, um, or at least an easy way. I mean, I know contracts can be broken and things like that can happen. At least in like the terms of baseball, if like you're in a contract, you can opt to be traded, but that's not a thing in Supercross, to my knowledge anyway. Um, but I don't see Jason Anderson if he stays with the team through 2022. If Bobby Hewitt doesn't come back, I don't think he's going to stay with Husky long after that. So that's just kind of my thoughts on Jason. I mean, I love the dude. He's awesome to watch. I prefer watching him more off the track than I do during his interviews than I do watching him on the track sometimes. I think since he's left Alden, I don't think he's going to win a Supercross title again. I'd like to see him up there in the contention, but I think if you put him against somebody like Tomac or Roxon when he's on or Webb when he's gone, um, I'd like to see Jason Anderson up there as well. I just don't think. I think the reason he won that Supercross title was because Alden held him to a very strict standard, and it helped push Anderson to the level that he needed to be at to win the title. Now, a lot of people will say things about Anderson because Tomac got hurt and Roxon I think got hurt, that it took the big hitters really out of the game to challenge him for the title. You know, Dungy wasn't there, so I don't buy it. I mean, I'm a very firm believer in whenever you win a championship, you've earned it because you got to be in it to win it. And I mean, that's coming from a Tomac fan, where I put my chips in Tomac's bucket every single year, and I never made excuses, ever. I was like, well, he made too many mistakes. Oh, well, he did this. Well, he did this. Jason Anderson was the best rider that season. Cooper Webb was the best rider that season. Eli Tomac was the best rider this season. So it just kind of depends. I think I don't know what the issue with Alden was. I don't know if it was just the scheduling or how strict he wanted everybody to be and how strict he was on the riders. If that was the reason, because to me, Jason Anderson seems like a very, very chill individual, and I can't imagine him, after hearing him telling the AMA to go suck it, I can't imagine Anderson taking too well to Alden coming down on him. Like, he seems kind of like a Ryan Villapoto in that way, where he would just kind of tell Alden to shove it. Um, but I think at that point, I don't think Anderson's going to be up in the title talks as much. He's going to have to bust his butt, and it kind of goes back to something with Ken Roczen as well. Minus Ken Roxon's health, I think you have to be on every single week, and there are weeks that Jason's been off. And it may just be undisclosed injuries. It may be issues with the bike that they're not talking about. I mean, there's a plethora of things that could be going on behind the scenes that we don't know about that's causing Jason Anderson to not perform up to his standards. He's a former champion, so I mean, you got to figure that he's got it in there to win again. But we seem to be in the era of champions that don't defend their titles. I mean, Jason Anderson won in 2018, So Ryan Dungey won the title 3 years in a row, 2015 to 2017, and he retires. Jason Anderson wins it, and then he comes back in. Now granted, Jason Anderson got hurt in 2019, so he didn't really have the chance to defend his title. But I think it was A1 that he came out, and it was not good. But then he came back the following week and won. So it's kind of hit and miss, and I would like to see Anderson up in the mix. But moving on, got Zach Osborne. He just did a GNCC race this year. I think he placed 6th, I think. But I mean, what a career Zach's had. I mean, I believe he started off in he started off in Supercross, didn't do very well. Went to MXGP, didn't do very well, to my knowledge. I mean, I didn't really follow MXGP up until a couple of years ago. So, oh my god. But he went to MXGP, came back, and he signed with Geico Honda, and this was right around the time of Tomac going through and winning his Supercross championship in the 250s. And then he moved to Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, and then that's when everything kind of changed. He won the Supercross title twice. He won the outdoor title once, and I think he got hurt. And then he's been in the 450s. Got his first win in Las Vegas this year, which that's awesome. Zach seems like a good dude, and I'm excited to see some people up there challenging to win races. And I mean, my only issue with Zacho is that he's older. He's I think 29, 30. I don't know his exact age, but I know whenever he first came up to the 450s, he was like, I can't afford to have a rookie. Like, I mean, I'm butchering what he says, but I think it was essentially just like, I don't have time to figure the class out. He's like, if I'm going to make a run towards the title, I have to do it now. And to me, that went back to because he's a little bit older, so he doesn't have the time like I mean, Dylan Ferrandis is a bad example, but like Chase Sexton going into 450s. He's a kid. He is 19, 20 years old. So he's got plenty of time to have a rookie season, figure it out, have a couple bad races, and then put it together to be a championship contender in a year or two. Zach Osborne came into it, and he did not have that luxury because he's getting to the tail end of his career. Zach's good through this upcoming season, so 2021. I think he's going to retire after 2021. I just maybe do a contract extension to line up when Jason's contract's up, but I think he's going to retire in either 21 or 22. RJ Hampshire and I mean Michael Mosiman, I would imagine are going to be moving up at some point, but I don't know. Oh my god, that coffee wore off. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean that's really my thoughts on it. Zacho was awesome in the 250s. He's had those flashes of brilliance in the 450s, and he's a tough guy to pass. He's like a slightly clean, well, I say slightly cleaner version of Bam Bam, primarily just because he's not going to go out of his way to. Well, that's not true either. He'll put you on the ground, but typically his aggressive passes will come more often from a retaliation pass versus him just diving it in to put you on the ground like something Bam Bam would do in his younger years. The last guy on Rockstar Energy Husqvarna was Dean Wilson. So they brought him on as a Husqvarna, I believe, was the only 3-rider 450 team. Factory team. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do with Dino because when he's been, I think he was healthy the whole season. I think, but he's a good mid card guy. I mean, he starts up front. I mean, in Vegas, Husky finished 1, 2, 3. Dino was leading some of the race. I'd like to see them re-sign him, but I can see them not re-signing him because the budget's not there like it's always been. So I don't really know what to expect out of Dino. If he's the same age as Tomac, I could see him going to another team. I don't see him doing the privateer thing again. He loves to ride, but being a privateer is expensive, and I don't see him doing that long term. Um, he could be like a fill-in rider, I would suppose. Um, but I mean, I don't really know where to place Dino at this point. I hope Factory Husqvarna re-signs him, but I don't know. I would hope that they would, but because I mean he's performed under their tent, so whatever money they invested into him, I mean to me it seems like it would be worth it. I'd imagine he's riding comparatively to like to what they're paying Jason. I'm assuming they're paying him like pennies on the dollar. Like they're letting him race for free, but he's primarily getting like bonuses from position finishes rather than like a salary. I don't know that for sure. I mean, but I'd imagine that Dino, he's the kind of guy that would be like, I just want to ride for free. That's all I want. But you have to look at like entry fees, gas, parts, all this other stuff that comes with fronting another a whole other rider for a full season. But I don't know. I like Dino. He's one of the few riders that I follow on Instagram. So I'd like to see him get re-signed with Husky personally. At some point, I'd like to see him go back to KT or not KTM, Kawasaki, relive his pro circuit days. Moving on, JGR Suzuki, Freddie Noren and both Joey Savacci, they were 2020. From what I've heard, JGR is ending their partnership with Suzuki. I don't know what bike they're going to go to, but I can't imagine that Suzuki's going to stay in this game for very much longer. I know in MXGP, Gas has come on. I don't know anything about the bike. I just know that Glenn Coldenhoff and some other rider are in on a bike called Gas. So maybe JGR Gas. That sounds kind of silly to me, but I mean maybe. But Joey Savacci, he broke his heel, I think is what it was. I think he broke his heel similar to like what Aaron Plessinger did in 2019 at Daytona question mark. But Joey Savacci, he's fast. I mean he's gonna land a ride somewhere. I mean if JGR keeps in the moto business and they move to a different brand, I could see them bringing Joey Savacci with him wherever he goes, because he's a solid dude. He's going to be up front, at least pulling. He's going to be at least up front in heat races. He's going to be up front, and I don't know where he'll finish in qualifying. I don't pay attention to his qualifying times. I'll be 100% up front. But I mean, at least when he was on Cowie, he rode well. I mean, he was up front. Top 10 usually, more often than not he was top 10 unless he made a mistake. But the thing that's gonna kind of put him at a detriment to any riders that are coming up or some other riders that might be in position for a ride, i.e. Aaron Plessinger, he doesn't have any championships. He's got race wins, he's got a bunch of shoulda, woulda, coulda, almost championships, but he has not won a championship, and I don't see that translating very well. If it's he's had a better 450 career than what Plessinger's had, in my opinion. He's ranked up a little bit higher than what Plessinger has, but if they're looking at like a pedigree, okay, well Plessinger's won an indoor and an outdoor title on the 250s, so I mean the pedigree, at least at face value, is showing that Plessinger is going to be at least a little bit more valuable on paper. Savacci's been up front more. He was in position. I mean, his rookie debut, he could have won a race at the Monster Energy Cup. So I mean, it's like, what can you do? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Freddie Noren, I don't know where he's gonna go. Fast Freddie Noren, I don't know where he's gonna. He's a Swedish rider. I'd like to see him go to the GPs, but I don't know where he's gonna go. I think he'll go to. I think he'll go privateer. I don't know his age or anything. I don't know enough about Freddie Noren to be able to really predict where he's going. I know whenever he's on a bike, he's usually pretty quick. He's usually like a top 10. I've seen him in the top 10 in outdoors especially, but top 10, top 15 guy in outdoors. So I don't know. But he's at the end of his contract this year, so 2021. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. 2021, I'm kind of curious to see where he's going to go. All right, Moto Concepts, Smart Top Honda. It's got Malcolm Stewart, Vince Freeze, and then Justin Hill.
all in a 1-year contract at the end of. I don't know if they're a Supercross only team or if they run outdoors as well. But their contracts are at their 2020 contracts, so they'll be, once racing's done to whatever extent that they're done with, uh, their contracts are up. I think Mookie, I think he's done a good enough job to kind of build a case for himself, maybe with a different team. I don't know if he will or not, but I could see him going to a different team. But he's done well on the Moto Concepts ride, so I don't really know what to expect. There's a bunch of different moving parts in here, so I can't really say for sure whether or not I think, if Justin Brayton comes back, is he going to get a spot? I think Vince Freezy, if it ever comes a point where Justin Brayton comes back, they want to hire potentially a higher level like Aaron Plessinger, Justin Brayton, whoever it is. I think Justin Hill and Vince Freezy are going to be the ones getting the chop. I think they're going to try to keep Malcolm Stewart if they can. I don't know where Malcolm would go if he would. I mean, he's ridden KTM's, he's ridden no, he hasn't ridden Kawasaki. He's ridden Suzuki, he's ridden obviously Honda. He rode a Geico Honda, and I don't see him going anywhere unless like maybe James comes out and puts a team together. But I don't think so. I think if MCR holds anybody, I think they're going to try to hold on to Malcolm. Justin had a decent season, but it was a lot better than what it was on his Suzuki team. But I can't see him holding a place over somebody like he did better than what Plessinger did. But he was also on the ground a lot, but so was Plessinger. So I could see the first person that would get booted would probably be Vince Freeze, but he's been with the team for a very long time, so I don't know if there's any kind of loyalty there where he just gets to stay with the team or what the deal is there. But um, Vince Freeze, I think he would go to a privateer team or he would just retire at that point. Um, Justin Hill would probably go to a privateer team as well, but I think he's done enough to at least he's less likely to get booted from MCR. All right, Rocky Mountain ATV MC KTM WPS. I just say Rocky Mountain KTM. Blake Baggett's good through 2021, so I think he's retiring at the end of 2021. If he doesn't, for whatever reason, he's probably going to sign another contract with Rocky Mountain KTM, and then he'll be done. I think this is the last bike we're going to see Blake Baggett on. Um, just did not live up to his potential, in my opinion. I mean, he came on the Suzuki team, and he just didn't. He didn't really materialize. I mean, he's always been more of an outdoor guy, but he just didn't materialize the way that I think a lot of people thought he would. He won an outdoor title, and it didn't. He he just didn't do what I thought he was going to do. I mean, I watched Blake Baggett in the 250s. I was like, this guy's going to be a terror outdoors. I think he's going to figure out Supercross, but I think he's going to be a terror outdoors. And it just never happened. He's fast, but he's like even in Supercross this season, he was making these silly little mistakes that put him on the ground when he would be running up close to the front. I think he's a good dude. I think he's a good rider. He's got a son, Breaker, I think is what his name is. Breaker. Correct me if I'm wrong, but um, and in at least in the history of Supercross, usually whenever you have a kid, your career starts to go down. Super side note, I should have mentioned this earlier. Ken Roxon's having a baby too. Him and his wife are pregnant, or I'm sorry, his wife is pregnant with their baby. So that's side note, random ADD moment of the day. But yeah, Blake Baggett, he'll probably re-sign with KTM if he decides to stay with the team. I thought he had the opportunity to go to Red Bull KTM when Dungey retired. I'm completely pulling that out of my butt. But I thought I heard a rumor back in 2017 or 2018 whenever Dungey retired that they talked about moving Blake to Red Bull KTM. I don't know if that's true or not, but that'd be kind of cool if it was. Um, Bogle. Uh, it's the same kind of situation. He's a Supercross champion in the 250s. and I don't know what to say because he's been hurt a lot. He's kind of but he's fast. He's fast whenever he's out. He's not. I mean, outdoors he's got an overall win. He's got I think a couple moto wins. I know he's for sure got one. I think he's got more than one, but I can't remember the second one off the top of my head if he's got more than one. Um, but I think he's gone. I think they're going to get rid of Bogle. Well, let me rephrase this. So they're probably going to get rid of Bogle if any of the previous writers I talked about, like Plessinger or anybody like that, if they leave the team. So I mean, if the contract starts to get all wobbly and people start leaving teams, and I think Bogle's going to be one of the guys that gets cut because, again, outdoor, indoor, Supercross, and age. Plessinger's had it pretty rough though, so I don't think he's going to be top of the barrel. I think somebody like Joey Savacci would probably get a call first, but Joey Savacci's been hurt a lot too, so I don't know. But Joey Savacci's at least been closer to the front than what Plessinger's has been, so I don't know where Bogle would go. Maybe go to a JGR team, maybe be a fill-in rider, maybe Moto Concepts. I have no idea, but I don't think Rocky Mountain's going to keep him if there's other riders that are on the table that could potentially be a little bit more secure for them because Bogle's been getting hurt a lot. The rest of these teams, man, I'll be 100% honest. I don't really know a whole lot about them. HEP, Suzuki, all of their riders are going to be in contract. Max Anstey didn't really get to do anything because he got hurt. I think he's going to go back to the GPs. I'm imagining he's going to go back to GPs, but I don't know. Kyle Cunningham, same concept. Adam Intignap, I think he'll stay, but I'm not sure what Suzuki's doing. So I mean, a lot of this is going to ride based off of what Suzuki does. If Suzuki pulls out from this, like from motocross, I think the team's done. I don't know enough about HEP and their financials to be able to tell you for sure one way or another. I think they would they're either going to have to find a new manufacturer or they're done. Let's see. Rock River Yamaha. Kyle Chisholm. I didn't know he was on Rock River. Oh. Benny Bloss. So I think all these teams now they're going to have 20 in 2021. All these guys are contract riders, so I don't think that they're going to keep some of the lower end riders. I think this is going to force some of the lower riders to get kind of shuffled out to more privateer roles. Like I think if Rock River Yamaha has the opportunity to get somebody like Shane McElrath and Aaron Plessinger, if Aaron Plessinger wants to stay on a Yamaha, I think he can go there because it's not a factory team by any stretch of the means, but it's another team, and I don't know these financials, so I can't break down what's going to be more fiscally responsible for riders and what would make more sense contract wise. I mean, obviously, the more value you have, the more you're going to bring to the table. But if there are no factory options available, you either have to figure it out or whatever. I mean, Rock River Yamaha could very well keep Benny Bloss and Kyle Chisholm if they chose to because of the monetary side of the contracts. I mean, cool, yeah, we definitely want somebody like Aaron Plessinger, but they're wanting triple what Chisholm and Benny Bloss are wanting together. So I think it kind of depends, and I'm not going to go into some of the other teams. I really just wanted to cover the factory teams and some of the factory riders. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, this is my first video, and I'm doing this. If you guys want to see like 250 contract talk, I don't know how to find that. So I mean, I can dig for it, especially if it's something you guys want to see, like where 250 riders are going and things like that. 2021 predictions. I'd love to do this. Like I said, Supercross and Motocross, they're by far my favorite sport to watch. I'm getting into some other motorsports. I recently got into F1, so I'm learning that, but I don't have enough confidence in it to really talk about it. But I mean, if this is something you want to see more of, if you want to see track reviews, I mean, I've got MXGP, I've got MX versus ATV All Out, I've got Supercross 3, Supercross 2, Supercross 1. I've got the games to go through and do these discussions. If you guys want to see it, leave me a comment down below if you have something you want me to talk about. If you want me to turn this into more of like less gameplay footage and you just want me to throw like a banner or something up on there and just do like a talk where I talk for 30, 45, an hour, however long, about things that are relevant in the sport. I like bench racing. Bench racing is awesome. I love getting in there and seeing contract talks. I love getting in there and seeing, okay, well, Barsha did so and so this weekend. What team do you think he's going to go to next year if he leaves Yamaha? I would love to get into that. And I mean, if there's somebody that would want to do this, I mean, alongside, I'm open to doing like collaborations in order to get more content out there. I mean, if you guys want to see videos of multiplayer, this was just like an introductory video where I rode around Daytona and talked about the 2021 contracts because I hadn't seen it. I haven't seen any talk about it. So I mean, all my stuff is speculation, and I think some of the stuff I'm hitting the nail on the head with, but I have no grounds. I haven't really done any research in it. I'm just going based off of what I think would make sense. So I mean, comment down below what you think, and I mean, I can make an updated video going over some other talks, and I can do these every once in a while just to keep you guys updated. So it'll be like an update, like, oh cool, Yamaha announces their team, Shane McElrath, Dylan Ferrandis, where are Barsha and Plessinger going, and things like that. So I mean, it's something I'm passionate about. I love this sport, and I would love to just bunker down, and this is the only videos that I make. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of not having outdoors right now. I mean, it's postponed indefinitely. I watched a video with AC, and he said something about August 15th, but I'm not going to really hold my breath. Side note, if you guys have NBC Sports Gold and you bought the Supercross and Motocross pass, what are they going to do if they don't have outdoors? I emailed them, and they told me that at this time they're not issuing any refunds because of the on-demand content. But they were analyzing the situation and wanted to keep everything up to date as events unfolded. So if you've got NBC Sports Gold, you might have paid for nothing. But again, I don't know that for sure. That was just the response that I got, and I hope it's wrong. I hope we get to have outdoors. I would love to have outdoors, even if there's no fans there. I think outdoors is a lot less necessary to have. I mean, obviously the fans being there are awesome, and it helps pump up the pumps up the riders and everything like that. But at least it's outside, and at least it's something where you're able to, I mean, Supercross, you can see the fans in just about every section. And I mean, it's similar to outdoors, but I mean, myself, I notice the fans in Supercross a lot more than I do the fans in outdoors. I mean, obviously, you're not going to hear I don't know what they're called, but I don't know what they're called. But let me know what you guys think about possibly not having outdoors. And I think the AMA, oh God, I think the AMA just announced today that they're not going to be doing designations. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean, at this point, I mean, if it wasn't going to be like Tomac and I don't even know a 250 rider. I'm dumb. If it wasn't like Tomac, Sexton, and Webb, I mean, it's outdoors. I don't know. If it's not, if we're not going to have an A team going to represent designations anyway, I don't think we should go. I'm all for supporting the country, but I also get the contractual decisions made by Kawasaki. I mean, I think that the riders have the choice to, but I think they're getting an earful of what they should be doing to protect Tomac hadn't won a Supercross title, so I think Kawasaki was like, you can go, you can do this, but we're not you need to focus on a Supercross title. And I mean, I think now that he's got a Supercross title, I think if they do go to I think whenever Destinations does roll around, if AMA is participating in it, I think you might see Tomac go that at that point, because he's accomplished everything in the sport at this point. Everything that he wanted to accomplish, he's accomplished. So that's all I got for this video, guys. Sorry I rambled on there for a little bit, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you're curious, obviously I'm playing this on PC. The mods are from Pay 2021. He uploads mods. Check out his stuff on YouTube. He's got a Discord channel. And he helps keep this game alive. So I mean, thanks Pay 2021 for uploading the sick looking mod to get Vegas 2020 for Tomac's gear, and getting the rest of the 2020 riders looking sick. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.